Hello everybody, video here for you today. This is the Curse of Oak Island, looks back and ahead, and in this series we feel better, Zig, look at the previous episode of the Curse of Oak Island, and sometimes even back further, and also towards the next episode and beyond that. So let's get started. Last episode was called Coney Island, and the Avanti 1 borehole, which is not on here, but if you see where it says Baby Blob, if you go in a straight line to the right where you hit the stone, that's about where that was. And so that particular borehole, nothing in there, just in situ soil all the way from top to bottom. And so the next one on their grid, which I have a slide of that later to show you, is going to be Bravo 1 right there. And by the end of the episode, they had started that one, but no results from that one yet. Lot 5, Helen says that they think every time they think it's going to be the bottom of the structure, they find more artifacts. And she does find the blue clay, and Marty takes a sample to the lab to Emma. And we'll get the results of that on the next episode. And maybe it'll be a match for Money Pit and the Swamp. Valkenburg Castle, the Netherlands, the European field trip continues. They didn't spend any time out here on the outside. They just went down into the catacombs, and they're trying to what they're trying to do at the moment is track down these artifacts or ties to them, because all this metal came from Scandinavia. There's under the catacombs there in Valkenburg Castle. 4 dotted cross. And either a goose paw, or if you can imagine, it might have been wiped away through the sands of time, or on purpose. Never know. But that could be like the oh gosh, what is that called? The stone triangle on Oak Island, where it was like this, and then at the bottom it has a curl, so it would be kind of like a boat here. And this of course, the goose paw from Nova Scotia, from Liverpool in Nova Scotia, on the coastal rocks there. Back in the Netherlands, in Valkenburg Castle, this is described as a Viking sail. Corin Maw says that he has seen these in other Templar prisons. And of course, when you look at them right next to each other, that does make sense. There's a boat with 2 masts on it. And this is where the title gets its name from, right down here, Coney Island. The bottom of Nolan's Cross, and so they decided to move that stone. And instead of just tipping it over, they're going to pick this one straight up. So they managed to do that, and it leaves a nice sized hole right there. And a lot of it, as you can see from the stone, see how much of it was underground. Like, not quite half of it was underground. So big stone, 60 tons, I think they said. Marty says he's going swimming, and so after Dr. Spooner checks it out and says it basically he thinks it's like the sea horizon would be the area of it. And he gets some samples, and Marty gives him some leaves from the bottom of this water-filled pole. And Marty also finds this conglomerate, which is basically like a bunch of rocks put together. Marty says he hopes that's cement. The field trip went to Bornholm, to, oh gosh, what was it? Nyler's Church, built by Templars in the 1100s. And they found nearby, they've not in the church, but they found nearby these two rune stones and eventually put them into the church building. Rick thinks about the 90-foot stone and the way it was described with the like a dark olive color, and which is similar to those, and they look for matching symbols, and they do find some, the X and the arrow, dots, and the I slanted. And at the top of it is, they highlighted it in red, so it would be obvious, but a Templar cross. Here in Madsbacka, also there in Bornholm, Denmark, I have these carvings on the rock. And not that easy to see, but that is a 4-dot cross with a circle around it and dots all the way around it, which we haven't seen that particular iteration of it before. There's also a match for the Hyades stars, and as you can see, not exact, but close enough. And of course, we don't know what it looked like many years ago when this would have been done either. Some of the carvings on here, I think they said 3,000 years old. Crazy. The bolt that was found by Robert Dunfield in the 1960s, and she said the museum curator there for a museum that is at the burial site of one of the kings from there, and she said this could easily be something that I would find in an archaeological dig right here. And she has a replica of it, and they would just put it on the end of an arrow and then like tape it on. This is the conglomerate rock. As you can see, it looks like it does like it's kind of like cement, but it has different pebbles and stuff inside of it. So, but the big thing about this is that there's a hair sticking out of it, and I think that's it right here to the side here, unless that's a scratch in the table. Not really sure, but I think it's up there like 3/4 of the way. I can't remember if this shows my cursor or not, but about 3/4 up the way of the right side of the rock, and it's hair sticking straight out. But you can definitely see it here in this magnified version of it, and it's sticks straight out, and like at the very end it looks like it curves a little bit at the very end of it. And so I think it was Jack said, can we do DNA testing on that? And Emma says SEM, scanning electron microscope. And so I don't know if they will do both or just a scanning electron microscope. But either, however you can get the data on it to place it and say what the origin of it is. This is from the Drilling Down episode that aired after Coney Island, and it's called Evolution of the Dig, and what that was basically a recap But they also did fan questions and talked a bit about their last 2 episodes left to air this season, which is this Tuesday and next. Alex said there's a lot of stuff in those episodes. Marty said there are 2 really important things, including concerning his doubts about Nolan's Cross. Jack said he doesn't think any of them could have predicted what they found at the end of the year, and that they have carbon dating coming that might tie in with the older finds in the swamp. On the next episode, called Harry's Situation. The synopsis is, while a trip abroad makes old world connections to the new world on Oak Island, the team is thrilled when new evidence indicates that whoever was on Lot 5 was also deep in the money pit. So I'm assuming that blue clay matched from Lot 5. And we get to see a Viking ship. They see a piece on the Viking ship that looks similar to a piece found in the swamp. Lindy finds something. Tried zooming in on it. Now, of course, they're not going to give you a good shot that you can zoom in on. So no idea what that is that she found. But Jamie Kuba on the J-Free 906 podcast said that very exciting things in the swamp, in the on Lot 5 were coming. Here in the lab, Marty says it's definitive proof that somebody on Lot 5 was also in the money pit. So again, presumably talking about the clay. Doug points at this symbol that matches one of the copper artifacts symbols, and closer to his finger is a Templar cross, as you can see there. And this may be looking at some other type of navigational tool like the Abator or the Astrolabe. Rick says this cave may be related to Oak Island. And then they highlighted the cross carving so we could see it clearly, but obviously we know what that is. And that's weird. It looks like the Oak Island logo that's behind it. It looks like that's kind of fused in with that. Weird. Just happened. And History Channel last night posted the synopsis of the season finale, which is called Worth the Wait. WEIGHT. So I don't know if they're talking about the weight of that 90-foot cone E stone or something else. It says as winter descends on Oak Island and clues continue to be uncovered, the Fellowship makes a final bold effort to find the treasure before operations cease for the winter. All right. So I don't know if that means they do try to do the horizontal drilling at 55 feet. In the last 2 episodes, I think they've drilled all the boreholes in red, whether they show us all of them or not. The new boreholes, those, yeah, there they are to determine whether the baby blob should contain those points as well. And so, yeah, the E5 and 14.5 right there. If you go across from the baby blob, well, they moved it. They moved stuff. They moved it now. But that's where the oh gosh, what was that? Avanti 1 is what the E5N-14.5 borehole is, and they did that one, and the new one is up at the top. The north one, what's the IN? Need to clean my glasses. Something 12.5. I can't see it. But that is that new borehole Bravo 1. And the other ones they want to do right here in this in the corner, if you go just southeast from that, you see the one in the corner there. There's also one near where the baby blob and the baby blob converge, right in about the center of the picture there, and two lower that are actually in the blob, including the one to the right is that borehole that they drilled last season, meaning season 10, and they hit a 7-foot void in, and that's the one that they want to probe drill through to in the garden shaft at 55 feet to see if that's there. So don't know if they will be able to do that. Depends on what Dumas Contracting can do with the flooded shaft safely, because you do not want that thing to collapse at all. Then right here is the shot from the season 10 where you see the drill at the back of the rig, the vertical machinery right there part. That is where they drilled and hit that 7-foot void. And you can see that's just outside of that garden shaft. So hopefully they can. The idea was that they could tunnel anywhere they wanted to from the garden shaft, which is much better than just dropping a drill in and hoping you hit something. When you tunnel to something, you know you're going to it. And you can use GPS and such, and so you know you're going right through it. You're not doing a drill that can walk, as they say. And if you don't understand that, basically what that is, the drill comes down through the soil, and if it hits some like harder soil, sometimes the drill can veer off, and it can veer off quite a bit sometimes. If you ever seen the map of Oak Island, the surveyor's map, where it has all the boreholes on there, it has sometimes has a illustration of like there's multiple circles all in a row, and that's a drill that went down here, and then there's circle, 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 and that means it went this far away by the time it got to as far as they drilled down in it. And so, but yeah, hopefully, I mean, this is one of the big things, to see what that void is and to be able to tunnel to it. And that would be the first time they've been able to tunnel to anything, which that is very exciting to me, to be able to do that. So hopefully they can get the garden shaft back into working order, pump it out, figure out how to block off the water, and which people have only been trying to do that for 229 years. Maybe a little bit less, because they didn't get flooded out until like maybe 3 or 4 years after the discovery in 1795. I can't remember the first company that got it. It actually might have been in the 1800s even. I want to say 1821 is popping to mind for some reason. Onslow Company maybe. And as far as the carbon dating coming in the swamp, that would be the survey marker found at the Teferet point that John Edward suggested they check first in the Tree of Life, and that's also in the vertical line of Nolan's Cross as well. It's in both. Nolan's Cross is basically embedded inside the Tree of Life for all those points. And the cones are some of those points as well. Beyond that, hopefully more connections to Oak Island in Europe. I'm looking forward to DNA or any other kind of testing that's done on that hair, embedded in the conglomerate, as it's called. Also on the JFree 906 podcast, do check that out. The channel is also JFree 906, and tell Jeff Steve said hi. Jamie Kuba on that podcast said the archaeologists did wrap up the Lot 5 structure by the end of the season. So I assume that means they did get to the bottom layer of it and maybe they found something marvelous. Whether that's what Lindy found or what they saw finding in the preview or something else. I'll of course be no-cap recapping the final 2 episodes of the Curse of Oak Island called Harry's Situation and Worth Its Weight. Or Worth the Wait, I think. Yeah, Worth the Wait. And I'll also be doing retro no-cap recaps all through the summer of seasons 6 through 8 and seasons 1 through 5. And the newer ones, 9, 10, aired episodes of 11 are already done and are in the Oak Island playlist in the upper right. Thank you so much for subscribing. Please do that. And like and comment. Siempre avanti.